Welcome to Globe Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with Lizzie Hartman, the home cook from Fairbanks, Alaska, who finished in 10th place on MasterChef season 13, representing the West in the United Tastes of America. Lizzie, it was a stadium food challenge that sent you home. There aren't a lot of
Yes.
stadiums in Alaska, so what went wrong?
Yeah. We do have stadiums, but they aren't necessarily serving elevated food by any means. At least not the stadiums I've been around. Yeah, I just got in my head a little bit and got into that process. And man, there were so many times I should have just changed gears, but I didn't, and it sent me home.
You were called forward with Grant and Kolby, and Kolby had
Yeah.
never been in the bottom three before. You and Grant were just in the bottom three the challenge prior with the fish
Yes.
mystery box. So what was
Yes.
going through your head when they called you up to take a look at those crab hush puppies you made?
Yeah, well, I knew that was going to be a bottom three dish, regardless of anything that would happen. And man, being up there with Grant and Colby, I just knew what strong cooks they were. And I was like, this is probably my night. Like it's probably my time.
So
Because mine was definitely worse than theirs.
you sort of had an idea going in when you looked
Yeah,
at those. Because what about the time before? In the fish mystery box, you had
yeah.
red snapper. Were you more confident that time, or are you always feeling like you're just on the edge?
Not always. There was a couple times I was in the bottom earlier where I was like, wait, that was actually good. Um, but those last two, I was definitely feeling a little out of my element. The whole process itself, I just never imagined being that far in the show. So by the time I was there, I felt a little out of my zone.
You were pretty excited when Kelsey Murphy showed up. So had you been a fan of the show, like how many seasons had you watched before you actually
Yeah.
did?
I've watched a little bit of probably every season. It plays on our local stations, and growing up, I only had the little like antennas on our TV, and it would play every Wednesday night. So I've watched it throughout my whole life, or last 13 years of my life. And my kid, I have a 6-year-old. He loves MasterChef Junior. That's something we've always watched together. Um, so it was just exciting. I was hoping we would get to meet some other contestants or other winners of the show. So I was glad that I got to stick around for some of that.
What was it like just being in the kitchen and learning from Gordon and Aarón and Joe? And I don't know if you've seen this episode yet, so this might
No.
be a surprise to you, but because we're conducting this interview before, but
Yeah.
they show you learning how to open a wine bottle. And that you
Yes.
and they see you've never opened a wine bottle before. So I
Nope.
love that moment. What else was it like to be there and learn?
Yeah. Even when they were maybe giving me pretty tough constructive criticism, or even like, Lizzie, why don't you know how to do this? It was still so amazing to like have them talking to you and having this conversation with you and teaching you. I asked them a lot of questions. They would walk by my station and I'd be like, can you taste this? Can you try this? And I think they may have seen that as me not being confident, but it was more like, I'm in the kitchen with you. You're walking by my station. I'm going to ask you questions. It's just who I am. So I kind of loved the moment Joe helped me to open the wine bottle. I actually could not figure out their wine opener. It was different. I'd never seen that kind of opener before. So I panicked in that moment. Joe walked by, I asked him to help me. Obviously, he probably wasn't thrilled about that, but he was very nice in the moment. So
He's opened plenty of wine bottles though, so he's the right
yes, he has. That's why I felt like he was the right one.
one. What's your personal story in terms of food? Like when did you
Yeah.
fall in love with cooking or learn to
Yeah.
cook, and what made you want to audition?
Yes. So when I was 15, we moved to Alaska from Pennsylvania. 15 is a hard age for a teenager to move, but especially to Fairbanks. Fairbanks can be a very dark and dreary place, a very extreme place, the winters. So I became very depressed when we made that move as a teenager. And cooking became a way for me to get outside of myself, get outside of my depression, and serve others. I was able to use cooking as a teenager to serve my community. I brought little girls into my own kitchen. I taught them how to make cupcakes and cakes. And I just used it as a way to do something outside of just sitting in my depression. And it really helped, and it changed the entire trajectory of my life. And then at 16, I enrolled for a culinary class at the university. That went super well. So when I was able to go to college, I went back and I did a year at the culinary program. And through that, met all kinds of new people. I had new opportunities come through the door that involved cooking. So just kind of, it's just been snowballing. And then the show has only helped snowball it even more. So it's just been incredible. And cooking has just always been a huge part of my upbringing and my life.
You nailed your audition with roasted Alaskan halibut, with cauliflower puree, pan-seared mushrooms, and fresh herb oil. You got 4 yeses. It was unanimous. What made you decide on that dish? And what was that audition experience like with all those people cheering in the room?
That was like the best 45 minutes of my life, not gonna lie. The adrenaline, the energy in the room. We were actually like one of the first group to cook. So it was like a very like, oh my goodness, this is happening moment. That dish was one I had actually, a local chef here in town. He had actually showed me how to make. I had no idea I was even gonna audition for the show, and he taught me that dish. And then when I fell into this audition process and they were asking for dishes that represented your region, it was a no-brainer. I just got back from a fishing trip for halibut. So it's something that we all do as a community. It's something we have in our freezer. I actually trade, like if we get halibut and friends get salmon, like we'll trade. That way we don't have to go fishing for both. So halibut is like just a very special part of our lives.
Did you have a dish sort of in your back pocket that you thought, if the challenge ever lines up, this is one I really want to showcase for the judges, that you knew you could nail, but you didn't have the opportunity to?
Yes. French macarons, the little cookie.
Okay.
They are very complicated to make and incredibly complicated to make in an hour. It's almost impossible, but I can do it. I'm really good at it. It's like, it is my ultimate skill. It is like my party trick. It's really special. And actually looking back, I didn't know we could do desserts that night that I was eliminated. And I wish I would have made macarons. Why not? Like if I was going to go out anyway, like at least give it a try and see if I could do it in their kitchen in that time. And obviously maybe it would have saved me. So looking back now, I wish that I would have tried that, but it is what it is.
Madam Donut made her donuts.
Yes. When she was walking up with the donuts, I was like, wait, we could do desserts. I was so happy for her. The fact that she made it up top with her donuts. I'm actually seeing her tomorrow. She's flying into Fairbanks and we're cooking together. So
what was it like to have teammates like that? You advanced to the point where it became an individual competition, but what was it like to have your teammates in the West, and just getting to know all these other home cooks from around the country?
Truly the most incredible experience of my life. You meet all those different home chefs and you all have something huge in common. So we could talk for hours and hours, and we all really built relationships together outside the show. And those relationships are still very much alive today. We talk all the time as a cast. And they're just some incredible people. I was just thrilled to learn them or to meet them. And I'm actually supposed to see a whole bunch of them over the next couple months in different states. So it just created incredible opportunities for me.
What's next for you? Are you continuing on this food journey? Is it something you want to make a career out of? Is it a hobby? Let fans know how to follow you and what's next.
Yeah, so you can follow me at Alaska Lizzie on all social media platforms. I post about how to visit Fairbanks and Alaska in a way that supports the people who actually live here and small businesses. And then I also, I do cooking full time. I just catered a 200-person event yesterday, and I have a private dinner scheduled tonight. So I'm available for those kind of opportunities. And the next big thing for me, though, is I'm collaborating with a nonprofit. We have recently purchased a unfinished lodge And we are finishing that lodge with a full kitchen. And I'm hoping to do winter kids camps where kids can come in the winter, learn how to cook just like I did, and maybe I can help touch some lives through that as well.
Incredible. Lizzie, it was a pleasure to speak with you, and congrats on making the top 10. And thanks for chatting with Kolby today.
Yes, thank you so much.